Given that it is that time of year where we are celebrating love in all its forms, whether that's friendship or romance, Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day, I thought it would be fun to put together a list of games that really center love in all its forms. This list features games across a mixture of different genres, so whether you're a fan of cozy games, RPGs, visual novels, or even shooters, you should find a game for you on this list. I also tried to include games that are on a variety of different platforms, Switch, PC, even mobile, and many of the games on this list also feature queer romance. Most of these games are already released. I've played many of them, but not all of them, and a few of these are also upcoming releases you can look forward to later this year. First up, one of my favorite hidden gems, Half Past Fate. Love is in the air, but work, life, and spicy ramen keep getting in the way. Half Past Fate is a rom-com adventure with a charismatic 3D pixel art style. Follow the journey of 6 ordinary people who found each other in extraordinary ways. From 8 hours to 8 years, this time-jumping saga will change the way you feel about fate forever. Half Past Fate is a game that I have played. I stumbled upon it because I was looking for games that basically felt like playing through a rom-com, and that is exactly what this game is. It's interesting because it's not a pure visual novel, which is usually the format in which I'm used to getting these kinds of stories in games. This game is an adventure game, which means you can walk around, click on stuff, interact with different things in the environment and different people in the environment, but it follows a set story, so you don't get a lot of choice. It's basically like playing a movie like Love Actually, where you're just witnessing the story of these different characters, but it's a little more interactive. It's in a cute pixel art style, and I highly recommend this game if you are literally just looking for a rom-com as a game. Now, if you're looking for a game where the soundtrack is bangin', you should check out Sayonara Wild Hearts. It's a dreamy arcade game about riding motorcycles, skateboarding, dance battling, shooting lasers, wielding swords, and breaking hearts at 200 miles per hour. This game is one of my favorite games ever, honestly, and it's kind of a standout in that sense because I don't usually play arcade style games or endless runners in the way that this game is. I've played Sayonara Wild Hearts through fully twice, and I also picked it up earlier this year, so it's very fresh of mind for me. I was just recently playing through a few levels and remembering just how incredible the soundtrack is, and the reason I'm putting it on this list for love games is that I think even though the narrative in Sayonara Wild Hearts isn't very explicit, there is a kind of underlying thread that you can interpret as you will, that is about perhaps our relationships to other people, our relationship to ourselves, etc. You'll see what I mean if you play the game, but I think it absolutely is a game about love. This game is also absolutely a cozy game, I think, even if you are a little bit wary of playing a game that has some challenging parts. One of my favorite features in this game is that if you keep dying in a certain section, eventually Queen Latifah, yes, literally Queen Latifah, will ask you if you would like to skip the section and just continue. And I think that's really nice. Next, we have one of my favorite visual novels ever that centers friendship, queer love, Asian American experiences. This is Butterfly Soup. Butterfly Soup is a visual novel about gay Asian girls playing baseball and falling in love. This is a game that I feel like it's one of the few times in games where I felt like I can really see myself in some of the experiences or some of the characters being depicted in just such a real way. And I'm sure that's just because of my life experiences and my friend group, middle school, high school. This just felt very reminiscent of that period of my life. I feel like you should definitely check this game out if, one, you're looking for a game with really charming writing, and two, if you're looking for a game that will make you laugh a little and giggle, because a lot of the scenarios and things that happen in the game are very silly. It feels very true to life for like the age of the characters. And while there are more serious things that happen too, I think overall the game is just a very lighthearted, fluffy adventure. Now, I cannot make a list about games with fantastic social and relationship mechanics without including Rune Factory. So let me tell you a little bit about Rune Factory 4 to start with, which is probably the most popular entry in the series thus far. Welcome to Selphia, a region ruled by the native dragon Ventuswil and you. After falling from the sky and landing on the back of a friendly dragon, the young hero or heroine is invited to live in the local castle and, as a newly designated ruler, begins their life anew while developing the town, exploring nearby dungeons, and cultivating the soil. Start an exciting new life and embark on a grand adventure in this beloved entry in the Rune Factory series. I would say, if you are interested in this series, first of all, if you care about social or relationship mechanics at all, you should be interested. I think this series, out of all the cozy games I've played, does it perhaps the best. I think the only game that rivals it is coming later in this list. That said, if we're trying to decide between what game in the series you should play, people do tend to agree, and I would agree with them, that Rune Factory 4's is the superior game when it comes to how many unique events and interactions there are with all the characters, which is really important if you care about friendship and romance, right? However, I also want to recommend Rune Factory 5 because the big drawback with Rune Factory 4 is that there is no queer romance. There's no gay marriage, which really sucks. Thankfully, Rune Factory 5, they did add in queer romance and gay marriage, and I am sure that is a trend they're going to stick with in their future games, which I'm really glad about. So if queer romance is important to you, then I would say go with Rune Factory 5, even though people complain about that game having performance issues and stuff. Honestly, I feel like if you're playing mainly for the social mechanics like I am when I'm playing a Rune Factory game, I don't think that would bother you too much. I still think the game is wonderful. I think the characters are really fun and really lively in Rune Factory 5 as well. What makes the social mechanics in the Rune Factory series stand out is that there are so many unique events and cutscenes that you can unlock with different characters. And I know other games do that as well, but I feel like Rune Factory just does it to a higher degree. Like there's just more stuff to see, more relationship events to encounter, unique dialogue. Like there's a lot of unique dialogue in Rune Factory 4 especially. That's something that the series is really praised for, and you can see it, and it really makes getting to know the characters much more rewarding than in other games where they kind of just start repeating lines really fast. Whether you're looking to romance some characters or make some new virtual besties, either way, I think the Rune Factory series does an incredible job at both. Next up, we have the first game on this list that I have not played yet, but I am dying to, and no pun intended, it's called Love Ghostie. In Love Ghostie, become a wholesome ghost matchmaker and grow relationships between the manor's residents. Gift items to lift their spirits, set them up on dates, and watch love bloom. Discover cute romances with a unique story between every pair of residents. How will love blossom in your manor? Okay, so if you're like me, you heard Ghost Matchmaker and you were just sold, but if you need more selling on this game, as you can see, the art style, I think it's just so cute. There's so many different characters that you can pair together, so I've heard there is a good amount of replayability in this game. So if you're tired of kind of being the person dating and you just want to like set up dates between other characters, I think that's more of a unique mechanic that we don't really see as often in games. Another game that I've been dying to play is Until Then. A fateful meeting sets off a chain reaction, upending Mark's life. People disappear and memories prove unreliable. Uncover a hidden truth with Mark and his friends in this narrative adventure and race to unravel the mystery before it's too late. So Until Then is a Filipino coming-of-age visual novel. From what I hear, it is emotionally devastating. I have not played it yet because I feel like I need to prepare myself to be crying like that, because I just have a feeling this is a game that's going to make me cry. But this is absolutely a game that is very much about love. It also says it's about loss and friendship, so I think definitely on theme for this list, but just be prepared to feel some feels if you're going to play this game. Next, I want to talk about a game that probably has one of the most catchy theme songs I have ever heard. Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator, is a game where you play as a dad, and your goal is to meet and romance other hot dads. Are you ready? Hi, ready, I'm dad. Okay, so I love that the game description has a dad joke. This game is about dads, so you can expect a lot of dad jokes. I have played this game thoroughly to completion. I think I played every single route possible, so there is a lot of replayability here. It's your typical kind of visual novel, and I think the writing in this game is lovely. It's a very, very charming game, very lighthearted, very warm, but there are some like interesting secrets and like little backstory tidbits to discover about different characters. I really enjoyed this game. I think there were multiple candidates that I really wanted to pursue, so it really felt fun to replay multiple routes. You have a daughter, Amanda, I believe, that you also interact with throughout the game. So this also has that familial love aspect, which I think is really lovely. And, you know, you're dating some dads, but you're also just getting to know others and making friends. So I think all around, this is just a lovely game to be playing around this time of year. Now, so far, I don't think any of the games I mentioned get very spicy. I think perhaps Stream Daddy gets a tiny bit spicy. Look up the content warnings if you're curious whether you can play this in front of your kids or not, but I feel like I remember it being pretty tame. And needless to say, it is a game about a dad dating other dads, so it is very queer friendly. Next, we have a game I have talked about many times in my other videos if you've watched. My Time at Sandrock is a game where you travel to the desert community of Sandrock and take on the role of a fledgling builder. Use your trusty toolset to gather resources, construct machines, and turn your rundown workshop into a well-oiled production facility to save the town from the jaws of economic ruin. Now, I said earlier that Rune Factory is the series I would highlight the most for having just top-tier relationship mechanics when it comes to cozy games. I would say that My Time at the series, and specifically My Time at Sandrock, is the other kind of gold standard for me when it comes to romance in the cozy gaming genre. I do think the romance is just built out so well. It adds so much to the game. Like, you don't have to romance anyone in the game. If you want to play this just to build up friendships with your characters and explore those platonic relationships, this is a great game for that too. Either way, it's extremely rewarding. You get to unlock so many little cutscenes, and as you get to know the characters, layers of their personality are revealed, and I feel like these characters are just extremely lovable, extremely charming. They all have something a little different to offer, so I feel like no matter who you are, there's probably going to be a character to you that you would like. And this game is also very queer friendly. One of the characters in this game is my character of the year for 2024. It is Unsure, if you're wondering. He was my husband in the game, and he's one of my favorite fictional characters ever. So yeah, if you're looking for really, really quality characters to get to know, I would say check this game out. Next, we have a game that I cannot believe I haven't played yet. I think it's literally a crime that I haven't, considering I'm South Asian. Thirsty Suitors is a surreal, story-driven game which throws turn-based RPG battles, skating, and over-the-top cooking mechanics together in a spicy fusion. This isn't a dating sim, it's a breakup simulator. Battle your exes, disappoint your parents, find yourself. I think what makes this game really appealing to me is one, it feels very Scott Pilgrim-esque, right? And you're battling your exes, so it's not so much necessarily, as far as I know, about like building up new relationships, but it's more like you're playing a set character and discovering more about that character's past relationship history through the battles with your exes. This game has a lot of different kind of genres mashed into each other. Like, you do turn-based battles and you cook. Like, I think there's just all this different stuff going on. It just seems like a very fun game, and from what reviews say, I believe it is also supposed to be very funny. The next game on this list is a game that I've played for a couple hours, but I'm waiting to get completely sucked into it. Coral Island is a vibrant and laid-back reimagining of farm sim games. Be who you want and experience enchanting island living at your own pace. Live off the land, nurture animals, build relationships with a diverse cast of townsfolk, and make the world around you a more vital and harmonious place. So if you're in the cozy gaming community, you probably already know about this game, but hey, it's a farming sim, you're on an island, and I think the biggest draw about this game, if you're looking for friendship and romance, is that there's just such a big cast of characters. Like, that is what really makes me want to get into this game for real, because there's just such a big cast. Like, there's so many people to get to know, and I guess that could potentially be overwhelming. For me, that sounds really exciting. I think this is the perfect game on the list if you're looking for a really classic type of farming sim with good romance, from what I hear. The next game I want to highlight is a mobile game that I feel like often flies under the radar because it's a mobile game, and this game is called Florence. Florence Yo feels a little stuck. Her life is an endless routine of work, sleep, and spending too much time on social media. Then one day, she meets a cello player named Krish who changes everything about how she sees the world and herself. So this is very much an interactive visual novel type game. It is very much about love and about specifically a relationship between two characters that you kind of just follow along and learn more about. It's a very affecting game. I played it a while ago, but I do remember feeling emotionally affected by it. It's really short, really sweet, and really beautiful. So I think it's a great game if you just want a little taste of something that is very, very high quality, very well put together, but isn't going to be too big of an ask on your time. Next, I have a few games coming up that I think may or may not feel like cozy games to people, but are definitely games that you should absolutely play if you value great romance in games. And I think for the RPG fans out there, where are you at? I think you will agree with these next three if you've played them. First, I want to talk about Fire Emblem 3 Houses. 3 territories, 3 houses, your very own journey. War is coming to the continent of Fodlan. Here, order is maintained by the Church of Saros, which hosts the prestigious Officers' Academy within its headquarters. You are invited to teach one of its 3 mighty houses, each comprised of students brimming with personality and represented by a royal from one of 3 territories. As their professor, you must lead your students in their academic lives and in turn-based, tactical RPG battles wrought with strategic new twists to overcome. Which house and which path will you take? So yeah, this game feels like just incredible in terms of the attachment you build towards the characters in whichever house you end up choosing at the start. You really get to know those characters, build those friendships, and yes, you can romance and you can take the character you're wooing out on little tea dates and like look at them and make them blush. It's just so cute. And at the end of the game, you can even see what other characters ended up getting together, which is also so adorable because if I'm remembering correctly, that is influenced by who you end up kind of putting in fights together and such. So you have a little bit of influence, if not direct influence, on that as well. So you're kind of inadvertently a matchmaker. I adored the romance in this game. I played through it twice so that I could romance more people, and it was great. And I would say even if you're worried about playing a tactical RPG game, if you've never played one before, this was my first time playing a tactical RPG of this nature. It's basically like playing chess during combat. You can adjust the difficulty and kind of just, you know, play through that part of the game and then focus on the sections where you're back at the school or the monastery and interacting with the characters again, because for me that was my favorite part, and I think I still enjoy the game as a whole a lot. If you are more interested in dating aliens perhaps and not just humans, you might be interested in Mass Effect. Now this is a classic series. It is not new. I have played all 3 games, and there is now a legendary edition where you can get all of the games all in one plus the DLC all wrapped up together. Now what is Mass Effect? One person is all that stands between humanity and the greatest threat it's ever faced. Relive the legend of Commander Shepard in the highly acclaimed Mass Effect trilogy, and experience an amazingly rich and detailed universe where your decisions have profound consequences on the action and the outcome. If you're a sci-fi type of person, if you want a lot of action in your game, I would say this is a great choice. If you want some drama along with your romance, there's a fantastic cast of characters here, has some of my favorite characters in gaming ever. The character I chose to romance in this game very much felt like a friends to lovers romance, just done so incredibly well. I think some characters maybe are queer and some aren't, so I think it depends on them, but I forget. But there are definitely queer romances. And well, I would say like the romance isn't center stage. I do think it's done incredibly well, and also if you are just looking for a game that makes you feel like you're really part of a crew, a part of a team, this game is fantastic for that too. Like the kind of camaraderie you build over the course of the 3 games with your crew, because between every mission you are coming back and spending time in the ship and talking to everyone, like that really builds up over time and really makes you come to care about the characters in the game. If you're worried that this is a shooty game and you don't like shooty games, like I'm not good at FPS games in the slightest. I still think it's doable. Like I managed to get through it. I played as a Vanguard and I don't know, hachad into everyone, and it worked out somehow. The final game I want to include in this little RPG run-up that I'm doing is Baldur's Gate 3, which is a story-rich, party-based RPG set in the universe of Dungeons & Dragons, where your choices shape a tale of fellowship and betrayal, survival and sacrifice, and the lure of absolute power. Now, I have yet to finish this game. I've played a lot. I played like 50 hours, but that is just the first act, or not even the full first act. So yeah, this is a big chunky game, and I love the way relationships are handled, like going back to camp between you know, the roaming around and like fighting sections of the game and talking to the characters and see what they have to say, what's new, the little like romantic cutscenes that you unlock. Everything is incredible, like everything I've seen so far, and I'm excited to see it through to the end. I will say, like, this game, even if you put it on the easiest difficulty, I found it a little bit challenging. So if you're playing mainly for the relationship mechanics, you like absolutely you can do that, but just be prepared to kind of learn how this type of game works and really get into it. Like, you might have to put a little effort into it, but I think it is worth it. All the characters in this game are very unique, and they're extremely well voice acted. I think anyone will find someone that they will want to pursue friendship or romance with. Now for the final section of this video, I want to talk about a couple games that aren't out yet but will be out later this year. First, we have Date Everything, which is a sandbox dating simulator set in the comfort of your own home, featuring 100 fully voice-acted dateable characters. Let the romance flow between your bed, smoke alarm, and overwhelming sense of existential dread. Are you ready to date everything? So I think this game was made for me. Like, when I saw the trailer in, I think, the Wholesome Direct or something, I was just over the moon that someone had finally made this game. That makes it sound like I've thought about this concept before. I haven't, but I feel like absolutely yes. Like, you're telling me I can date the vacuum cleaner, I can date the refrigerator. That's absolutely incredible. I love how silly the premise is, but I also love that they are really leaning into the silly premise and genuinely creating these characters with really cool, interesting designs. I absolutely can't wait. I love pretending that inanimate objects have feelings, and I feel like this game is actualizing that for me, and I'm so excited. Right now, the Steam page says this should come out June 2025. I think it was originally slated for this month, but it got pushed. I am excited to play this game later this year. Next, a game that is coming out on May 31st that some of you might already be looking out for. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma. Welcome to the eastern nation of Azuma. In this fresh take on Rune Factory, use your powers as an earth dancer to restore the land, its people, and even its gods. Along the way, battle corrupted monsters, rebuild seasonal farms and villages, and form bonds with the colorful locals. Now, I feel like I already talked a lot about Rune Factory earlier in this video, so yeah, this is the new game in the series. This is actually, I believe, technically a spin-off. It's not a mainline game, which is why the mechanics are going to be a little different. Like, the dancing and the combat of it all might be a little bit different. But from everything I've learned about this game so far, it definitely seems like the same kind of attention to detail has been put into the relationship system. So I am extremely excited to see how that feels to play. The characters look compelling and really interesting. Like, I like their designs already, and I'm just excited to get to know them. The final game on this list is a game that is releasing on, or I think right after Valentine's Day, depending on your time zone. This game is called Afterlove EP. From the creator of Coffee Talk and What Comes After comes a slice of life adventure set in modern Jakarta about love, loss, and finding your own way forward. Step into the shoes of Rama, a young musician struggling to move on with life after the death of his girlfriend, Sinta. Now, this game kind of gives me similar vibes as to Until Then, in the sense that I feel like this game is very much about love and also very much about loss, and I feel like it's gonna make me cry. So definitely be prepared for that if you're getting into this game. Like, look at the content warnings. I am sure it will be a heavy game to play, but it also looks like it's going to be a really beautiful game, really beautiful narrative. I also just am such a fan of slice of life narratives, and that is what this game is going to be, so I'm really excited to see how that plays out. If you enjoyed this list, be sure to give the video a like, and if you want to see more lists like this and other videos about cozy games, RPGs, and more, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!